a short break, but did you manage to get a little bit of rest and family time in?
Yeah, I think anytime it's a mid-season break, it's very difficult to turn the mind off your job and what's coming up. But certainly had worked the one day right after our game against Wilkes-Barre to get some things done, so you could take a little bit of a break. So it was all good, pretty quiet. Obviously, the big major storm probably kept us inside a little bit more, but nothing wrong with that.
No, absolutely. And any time with family through the midst of the season is a good thing. So it's nice to even get a couple of days. Let's just go back to Wednesday's win against Wilkes-Barre. Points in back-to-back games now, and it seemed like a really solid defensive effort first and foremost.
Yeah, I really liked the last two efforts in terms of our defensive awareness, particularly Wednesday night. I mean, when you look at our game objectives, we got 9 out of 10. The only one we didn't get was the penalties, which was 5, and we love to keep it under 4 every night. But other than that, we won every category. So that usually tells you as a coach that things have went fairly well, and I thought we did a real nice job. They certainly made an early push, and Sogaard was there and made some real good saves, not only in the first period, but when they were making their push in the third period to try and get the equalizer. So overall, you can't complain about those type of efforts, and it was a real good win just to keep us close to 500. We've talked a lot about trying to get to 500 prior to that Christmas break, and unfortunately we weren't able to get the split in Winnipeg, but to be able to get that win and stay in the mix in terms of the standings was certainly an accomplishment from Wednesday.
One of the things we talked about after the game was the potential injuries with both Lassie Thompson and Angus Cruikshank leaving the game. What's the update on those two guys?
Well, Angus is going to take warm-up today, so we'll see where he's at. Obviously with the 4-day break and him heading home for Christmas is a little bit difficult to evaluate, but he's here and seems to be in pretty good spirits in terms of that shoulder. So as long as he can get out there and shoot that puck pain-free, then he'll be available. Unfortunately for Thompson, he's out week to week now, and not as great news for him. And this morning we seen him at the rink prior to getting on the bus here to head to Toronto, and looks like there's not really any improvement from Wednesday night's game. So he'll just have to be evaluated here on not only a day-to-day basis, but right now we have him listed as week to week.
The injuries give opportunities to other guys. What have you seen from Joe Carroll and maybe Jack Doherty since he's returned? Well,
I think JD comes as advertised. He's really helped the penalty kill since he's been on board, and over 6 games, he's not an offensive defenseman. So when you look at the numbers, you're not going to see points on the board. Although I believe he's got an assist, but he's +1. And when you look at a lot of our players and where we're at in that plus-minus department, which is sometimes a stat you have to overlook, but at the same time we have a couple defensemen with some high minuses compared to maybe a Hetherington, and JD has that ability to stay off the ice when pucks are going in on the defensive side. So that's the areas we look for him to continue to contribute on. And when it comes to Carroll, I thought that game 2 was certainly his best game in terms of using his body. He's a big body that skates really well. I mean, he's got a tremendous skill set, and that's why we've got him on the power play. But overall, for him to find an identity at this level, I think he's going to have to bring that physical element on a little bit more consistent basis, and we did see that in game 2. So we'll see what brings to the table today after 4 days off. But certainly that's what we have seen against Wilkes-Barre.
And just the job Ryan Bonus has done throughout the year of bringing in these PTO guys.
Yeah, it's not easy, right, when you don't have a lot of contracted players, and that's the message when any of these type of PTO players come in, whether it's Joe Carroll, who we did have some familiarity with from the COVID season, and you have Betts, really helping the penalty kill right now, and when you look at our center ice position, except for Castles and really Greg, we don't have any more natural centers because they're either called up or injuries. So those are opportunities, and we talk to that with those guys because when you have 14 contracts up front, for example, and you have a Daou out for the rest of the year, that leaves you with 13. So when you have injuries and recalls, it doesn't take long for the calls go out for the PTO guys, and I think overall all the guys in different pockets of the season so far over 11 weeks have helped us really stay stay in the mix for a playoff spot.
A couple more minutes here with head coach Troy Mann. Pre-game ahead of the matchup with the Marlies, along with the PTO guys that have been coming in and out, you're going to get Jonathan Aspro back on the blue line. It's been a long wait for him. How big of an addition will he be?
Well, I think we got to probably, a little bit of cautiousness today in terms of what we can expect. He hasn't played a real hockey game since game 2 of the playoffs, but he's got such a great motor and the work ethic. I even offered him not to play today and get the practice in tomorrow and play Wednesday at home, and he said he was taking his gear home. He had 2 skates organized back in the Quebec area, and then he was going to work out Saturday. So you know what, he's ready to go, and once he gets his feet under him, it's a tremendous addition at this stage of the season.
Of course, the music hits us right mid-interview, but we'll try to power through here for a couple more questions. I want to get a thought on controlling the big rink energy. It's not new for you. For some of the guys, it will be. How do you handle playing in a rink like this and the atmosphere that comes with it?
Well, the thing is, here in particular, this is my 3rd experience because we went through it in year 1 and year 2. Unfortunately, year 3 and 4, COVID didn't make that possible. But I remember even game 1 and game 2 here. They always make an early push, and your goaltender has to be your best player. I remember Decord being outstanding in the first 10 minutes our second year, and we ended up winning the hockey game, I believe 3-2 or 4-2 or something of that nature. So I think Sogaard will have to be the key here, and we'll have to get our legs under us because normally they have 15,000 people, and it's always a great atmosphere. But the start will obviously be very important today.
Yeah, and I guess what are the keys to that and kind of snapping back to reality after that short holiday break?
I mean, for us, it's just a reminders of what we do well, and when we have success, what those components are, and that'll be a little bit reminders. There's obviously going to be some video here today, but again, the video reminders are just from how we need to play to be successful, and that's how we're going about today's game.
We've had lots of success here over Boxing Day. We hope for some more here this afternoon. Thanks, Coach. Appreciate the time.
Yeah, absolutely, Footy.